Arin had always believed he worked best under pressure. But in reality, he wasn't working at all. Every morning, he repeated the same promise. I'll start later, maybe after breakfast. Okay, after lunch? All right, tonight for sure. But the work never began. One Monday morning, something changed. His alarm rang at 7 a.m., but instead of getting up, he grabbed his phone and started scrolling Instagram. A 5-minute break turned into 45 minutes, then an hour, then guilt. He rushed to his laptop, opened the assignment he had ignored for 2 weeks, and froze. His heart raced. His brain felt foggy. The deadline was in 3 hours, and he hadn't even started. That's when panic hit. He slammed his laptop shut and whispered, "Why do I keep doing this to myself?" For the first time, he wasn't just stressed, he was ashamed. He decided to take a walk outside to clear his mind. While walking, he noticed a man running at full speed in the cold morning air. The man looked tired, but focused, determined. Arin stopped and watched him pass by. Why is he pushing himself so hard so early in the morning? Arin wondered. An older woman standing nearby laughed and said, "That's Tom. Runs every day at 7 a.m. He says discipline is a muscle. If you train it daily, it grows." Arin felt those words hit him like lightning. Discipline is a muscle. It wasn't about motivation. It wasn't about feeling ready. It was about training his mind a little every day. He walked back home, opened his laptop again, and said to himself, "Today, not tomorrow." He set a 10-minute timer and started. That tiny beginning changed everything. It was the first time in years he chose action over delay. Arin always imagined that successful people woke up with fire, motivation, and excitement every single morning. But after his breakdown on deadline day, he discovered a truth he had never heard before. Motivation is unreliable. Systems are not. The next morning, he tried something different. Instead of planning a big, perfect day, he gave himself only one rule. Work for 10 minutes. Just 10 minutes. Then you can stop. He sat at his desk, set a timer, and whispered, 10 minutes. I can do that. The first 2 minutes felt uncomfortable. His brain begged him to check his phone, to get up, to postpone. But he stayed. By minute 5, something strange happened. His stress began to fade. His thoughts became clearer. He even felt a spark of interest. When the timer hit 10 minutes, Arin looked at the page in surprise. He was actually getting somewhere. He decided to continue for just 5 more minutes. Those 5 minutes became 20. 20 became 40. And before he knew it, he had completed a full hour of actual work. That night, when he lay in bed, he realized the power of the rule. Starting is the hardest part. Not working, not finishing, just starting. Over the next week, Arin used the 10-minute rule every single day. He didn't always feel motivated. He didn't always feel confident. But he always started. And every time he started, something magical happened. His mind shifted from panic to focus. People around him noticed a change too. His mother said he looked calmer. His friends said he seemed more present. His teacher said his work finally had structure. Arin learned that procrastination isn't laziness. It's fear dressed as comfort. But the 10-minute rule gave him a weapon stronger than fear, momentum. And momentum, once built, is unstoppable. Arin always thought procrastination came from being lazy. But one evening, while staring at a blank screen for the 3rd hour straight, he realized something deeper. He wasn't avoiding work. He was avoiding fear. Fear of failing. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of starting something he might not finish. Every time he tried to begin, a voice whispered in his mind, "What if you mess up? What if it looks stupid? What if you disappoint everyone?" So his brain protected him the only way it knew how, by distracting him. Suddenly, cleaning his room became important. Watching YouTube felt productive. Even reorganizing his sock drawer felt urgent. Anything except starting. But that night, as he sat at his desk, frustrated and drained, his friend Liam video called him. "Dude, why do you look like you're fighting ghosts?" Liam joked. Arin sighed. Because I am. He explained everything, his fear of failing, the pressure, the paralysis. Liam didn't laugh. He didn't judge. He just said one sentence that broke Arin's entire mindset. You don't have to be confident to start. You just have to be curious. Curious? Arin repeated the word in his mind. Curiosity doesn't judge. Curiosity doesn't pressure. Curiosity doesn't fear failure. Simply asks, what happens if I try? The next morning, instead of saying, I must do this, Arin asked himself a different question. What if I explore this for a few minutes? He opened his laptop with no pressure to be perfect. No expectation to finish. No demand for greatness. Just curiosity. Suddenly the work didn't feel heavy. Felt lighter, almost enjoyable. He wrote a paragraph. Then another. Then another. For the first time he felt free. Not because the task was easy, but because he was no longer fighting fear. He was exploring possibility. That day, Arin learned something powerful. Procrastination doesn't disappear when pressure increases. It disappears when curiosity replaces fear. Arin always wondered why he couldn't stay focused for more than 5 minutes. But the truth hit him one afternoon while he was working on an important project. He sat at his desk, opened his laptop, and promised himself he would not get distracted. 2 minutes later, ding. A notification. He checked it. Then another. And another. And suddenly, 27 minutes had disappeared. He wasn't lazy. He was surrounded by invisible traps. Notifications engineered to steal his attention. That evening, his grandfather visited him. Seeing the frustration on Arin's face, he smiled gently and asked, Do you know why you're losing the battle? Arin shook his head. Because you're fighting with your mind, while your distractions fight with weapons. Weapons? Grandfather pointed to Arin's phone, laptop, TV, and the shortcut icons on his screen. These things are designed to win, but you can change the battlefield. Those words sparked something inside Arin. He picked up his phone and did something he had never done before. He turned off all social media notifications, deleted 2 apps he never used but always checked, placed his phone in another room, and closed every extra browser tab except one. Suddenly the world became silent, and in that silence he felt calm for the first time in a long time. He sat down, opened his work, and began writing. 5 minutes passed, then 15, then 30. For the first time, distractions weren't pulling him away. He was in control. Later that night, he realized something important. Self-discipline isn't about being strong. It's about making distractions weak. Most people try to fight their urge to procrastinate with willpower. But willpower is a battery, it drains. Environment, however, is a system, it stays. Arin learned that the secret wasn't to push himself harder. It was to remove everything that pulled him backward. That day, he changed his digital world, and his productivity followed. It was late at night when Arin sat alone in his dimly lit room, staring at the ceiling. He wasn't stressed. He wasn't distracted. He was disappointed. Not because he failed a task, but because he failed himself again. He imagined something strange. What if his future self could walk into the room right now? What would he say? Suddenly, in his mind, he pictured a slightly older version of himself. More confident, more disciplined, more peaceful. Future Arin sat beside him and asked softly, Why do you keep giving my life away to procrastination? Arin felt a chill run down his spine. I don't know, he whispered. I keep breaking my own promises. Future Arin looked at him, not with anger, but with empathy. You think you're only delaying tasks, he said, but you're delaying me, the version of yourself you want to become, that hit harder than any deadline ever had. Future Arin continued, Every time you postpone something important, you take one step away from the life you dream of. But every small action you take, no matter how tiny, brings you closer to me. Arin asked, But what if I fail? His future self smiled. You only fail if you stop showing up. With that, the vision faded, and Arin was alone again. But something inside him had changed. He grabbed a notebook and wrote a single sentence at the top. I promised to show up for my future self. From that day, his choices became different. He still got tired. He still felt unmotivated sometimes. But every time he wanted to procrastinate, he imagined his future self waiting, trusting him. That image pushed him to take action, even if it was only for a few minutes. And he realized something profound. Discipline isn't a punishment. It's an investment in the person you want to become. A week into his journey of fighting procrastination, Arin discovered something unexpected. Even with fewer distractions, even with curiosity, even with the 10-minute rule, some days still felt heavy. Some mornings he woke up tired. Some afternoons he felt stuck. Some evenings he couldn't start, no matter how hard he tried. It frustrated him. One morning, after staring blankly at his desk for nearly 20 minutes, he messaged Liam, "I'm trying everything. Why do I still feel off?" Liam replied instantly, "Because you don't have a routine. Your brain wakes up confused every day." That sentence bothered Arin. Was his brain really confused? He decided to test it. For the next 3 days, he woke up at the same time, drank a glass of water, and took a 5-minute walk outside before touching his phone or laptop. Something began to shift. On the 4th morning, he woke up, and surprisingly, his body expected the walk, expected the water, expected the start. For the first time, the morning didn't feel like chaos. It felt like a pattern. He kept refining it. Heavy check mark, 1 small stretch. Heavy check mark, 1 minute of deep breathing. Heavy check mark, a 5-minute review of what he needed to do. Heavy check mark, and then his 10-minute rule. Within a week, this mini routine felt natural, almost automatic. And that's when Arin discovered something powerful. A routine removes negotiation. No more, "Should I do it now?" No more, "I'll start later." No more, "Maybe after one more video." His brain stopped searching for excuses because the routine gave it direction. One evening, as he reflected on his progress, he smiled. He wasn't perfect. He wasn't transformed overnight. But he was consistent. And consistency was something he never had before. He finally understood. Motivation makes you start once. Routine makes you start every day. Arin didn't become disciplined by changing his life. He became disciplined by changing the first 10 minutes of his day. 3 weeks after starting his fight against procrastination, Arin felt different. Calmer, clearer, more in control. But there was still one final test waiting for him. His teacher announced a major project. A big one. The kind that usually triggered his old habits. Panic, delay, stress, escape. That evening, as Arin sat at his desk, he felt the familiar fear returning. His mind whispered, "This is too much, start tomorrow." For a moment, the old Arin almost came back. The version who ran from big tasks. The version who hid behind distractions. The version who waited for motivation. But then he remembered everything he had learned. Heavy check mark, the 10-minute rule. Heavy check mark, curiosity over fear. Heavy check mark, making distractions weak. Heavy check mark, routine over motivation. Heavy check mark, showing up for his future self. He took a slow breath and whispered, "Not this time." Instead of thinking about the whole project, he did something simple. He broke it into tiny pieces. The introduction, 10 minutes. The research, 10 minutes. The outline, 10 minutes. One small piece at a time. He set a timer, started with curiosity, and began. Minutes turned into focus. Focus turned into flow. Flow turned into progress. For the first time in his life, Arin wasn't battling procrastination. He was passing through it. 3 days later, he finished the project without panic, without guilt, without staying up all night. When he submitted it, his teacher paused, looked at him, and said, "This is your best work yet." What changed? Arin smiled softly. "I stopped waiting for the perfect moment and started working with imperfect ones." That night, as he lay in bed, he realized something powerful. He was no longer the boy who delayed life. He was the boy who showed up, a little every day, and that made all the difference. Procrastination didn't disappear from his life. It just stopped controlling it. because Arin had become unstoppable, not by being perfect, but by being consistent.